Well, I'm super excited to film this episode of TV Time. I'm here with our president of SAC, Suzanne Dannehim, obviously one of our top cross-country runners. Just really excited to be out here this morning. I do think it just surpassed 20 degrees, so I definitely decided to go with shorts today. Great decision. But seriously, just thrilled to have this opportunity and really looking forward to our conversation. You ready?
Let's do this.
This is when, you started to sweat.
And then it just gets cold.
This has been awesome. Oh, I love this view.
Beautiful.
Woo-hoo! Amazing. All right, Suze. That was awesome.
That was great.
That was
Good
awesome.
Run.
Look at this.
So
It's one of my
beautiful.
favorite places. Let's stay in the sun here. I'll tell you this, those 6-minute miles were amazing.
Tanya,
really hoping that
after all these years, you still got the speed.
Thanks so much, I really appreciate that. One of the things I love about TV Time is that it allows me a chance to ask people why they chose GW. So what helped you arrive here in Foggy Bottom after, let's see, you were born in Hawaii, moved to New York, landed in Florida, and ultimately ended up in the nation's capital.
Good old G-Dub.
Yeah.
So, I guess I had like a weird story. I was looking for one main thing coming to college in general out of high school, and that was diversity.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I had great parents. They really helped me to find where I wanted to go. They took me all up and down the East Coast. I think I toured 15 schools. Wow. And the one thing that I had on my mind was I wanted a place where I felt like there's a diverse atmosphere, different people, ideas, beliefs, cultures coming together in one place. And I was actually so fed up after a long spring break, had to be sophomore year, saying, none of these schools are for me. I got the same feeling on every campus. I was like, you know what, Mom, cancel the GW trip. I'm so upset, I'm so down about this college search. I don't even want to go to GW to tour. And she was like, no, we booked it, we're here, we're taking the time, we're gonna go. We go, and I kid you not, on that information session, I knew where I wanted to go.
Really?
I decided that day, GW's for me, I gotta figure it out, and GW was the only place I applied. I went early decision. And it was really all came down to finding a team and a coach that supported me, which was hard to find, coming out as a not top recruit in the country by any means, and a place that has such a unique atmosphere.
Yeah, that's awesome. Why do you think you valued diversity like that when you were in high school?
I think it's a part of just coming from a place where it feels like everything's the same. Yeah. I think a lot of high school students have a similar feeling. You're somewhere where, everybody knows everybody, the families are similar in a lot of cases, and that was certainly my case. Yeah. And coming to GW really, to me, just looked like opportunities, opportunities to learn and grow just based on the fact that my environment itself was so just bursting with differences and ideas and, like I said, opportunities.
I love that. You talked about not being a top recruit out of high school, and here you are. We're just probably a month out from you competing at NCAA cross-country championships. Talk to me a little bit about that journey where you go from being a not top recruit to being one of the best in the country.
Yeah, it's been an evolution, no doubt about it. Like I said, coming out of high school, I was like, junior year, I was like, will I run in college? I don't know, maybe I just want to have fun. Yeah. And I got here, and I think the first step in my favor was coming to a school where, it's a program and a school and athletic department, and obviously you set the tone where everyone cares. Yeah. You say our competitive advantage is how we treat each other, and that was the case from day one. My teammates that I had on the team, my coach, the way he taught me and coached me, always with love, always with care, and the way our administration leads, always with care, always with love. And I think that really set the tone for me. I have to care back. I have to love this back because it loves me, right? So cool. And every year has been different in the way that I've discovered myself as a runner and as a person and as an athlete. And I think increasingly throughout the years, it's just been to take myself more seriously, and above anything else, just believing in myself more and more.
So
because
cool.
every year, you know, the more you believe in yourself, the more you accomplish. And the more others believed in me, I felt the more I was able to accomplish.
I love that. What do you think gets in the way of belief?
Honestly, when your competitive advantage or when your competitive disadvantage is the way you treat each other, that's when it gets in the way, right? Because when you have teammates who want to dumb you down or want to take you out or take your place, everything gets in the way, right? It's hard as it is. Yeah. Running 70 miles a week is never going to be easy, right? But when you put yourself in a place where everyone around you cares, everyone wants you to do well, and everyone, even more so, even when you doubt yourself, that your teammates and your coach and your AD are looking at you saying, yes, you can. It's a lot harder to fail.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, one of the things that we hear about elite athletes is that they've made a lot of sacrifices, or they've at least made intentional decisions on how to continue the climb. What are some of those decisions that you've made that have allowed you to become one of the elite athletes in the country?
I think, man, there are plenty. I think putting in extra time, like sometimes, I think a lot of athletes will go one way or another, and that is you fit your athletics around your life, or you fit your life around athletics. Okay. And I think when you start making the transformation of fitting life around athletics, that's when you really you start the steps to taking elite steps and becoming more elite. For me, that's looked like extra hours in the gym. You know, a lot of distance runners discount weightlifting. I think that's been really important to me. One of those has been nutrition. I recently went vegan after nationals. You know, I was so excited to get to nationals, and I was unhappy with my performance there. And I just kind of started looking at my playbook, saying like, what more can I do here? And that's kind of what I've done every season. Whether I'm happy about it or mad about the way that it's ended, I look at every season and say, all right, what was my playbook this season, and how am I going to change it to make it better for the next season? And you know, this time around, that included becoming a vegan. That had to do with some trainers that I know really well, watching a couple documentaries, and ultimately making the decision. But yeah, and then I think the biggest decision, it comes down to, like I said, fitting your life around athletics, just the decisions you make. You know, whether it's social time, whether it's getting those 8 hours of sleep every night. It's just the way you think about and approach the sport, and the way you care about it.
You know, I am reminded of one of our values of commitment, and as I hear you talk, your level of commitment has just amped up over the last couple of years, and you've seen the results of that commitment in your performance, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's switch gears and talk leadership. Obviously, we're both in positions of leadership. It's been fun for me to watch you develop into such an amazing leader and be elected as our president of SAC. But I'm reminded that one of the biggest challenges for leaders is leading their peers. So I'd love to hear you talk about that challenge, or even maybe you don't think it's a challenge, but you know, what's it like to lead your peers?
I think it's definitely a challenge, right? It's a potential challenge at the very least. And I have to say, you've inspired me a lot of the way, just the way that I've watched you lead and watched you lead your peers in a sense, and been able to take on that challenge. I think the way it's worked for me is GW student athletes are really special, because I think a lot of them are like me, you know, like I didn't necessarily come to be an elite athlete, right? I came because I wanted diversity, because I saw before me a city with I mean, seriously, every day running around here every day. So when you have student athletes who are interested in this and who care about, whose interests and beliefs are so much wider than just, you know, I'm here to excel in my sport, they start to do both, is what happens. They don't just, one doesn't substitute the other. And because of that, for me as a leader in SAC, you know, I work with student athletes, my fellow student athletes, who are as much leaders as they are members of SAC or followers in another sense. You know, we're all, and when you're leading other leaders, I think that you can get so much more done, A, and B, you just respect each other on a new level. I think that's why SAC and the student athlete body in general has done a really good job of receiving the value of respect, is because we've got a lot of leaders, especially proportional to the regular athlete population. We've got a lot of leaders. And when they're all leaders, when they all understand respect, they understand what it means. You know, it's not taking orders from your peers, which is how you kind of see it if you had if you lacked the value of respect, but they see it as this is a mutual respect relationship and we're gonna work together, not ahead of each other. It's a flat structure, and having that type of GW student athlete makes everything different.
So cool. Have you always known that you were a leader? Or is it something that like your sport you've developed in?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when it comes to my sport at least, my dad actually bribed me to run a race in 7th grade. It went really well. It went really well, and my high school coach wouldn't let me go after that. That's the best investment that man's ever made. No, I mean, I think the sport develops you in a way. I think, I've always loved people, loved always working with my friends, being around my friends. And I think leadership is just another way of saying directed camaraderie, right? Cool. When you're on a team, you got teamwork, you're already accomplishing a lot of leadership. It just has to have a direction. That's where the leader comes in. The leader finds that direction and takes the camaraderie with them, right? But that's kind of how I see it. But I think the camaraderie is a big part of who I am, and I managed to find out what that direction is. I managed to gain a ton of mentorship from people like yourself, from my coach, from other administrators, other professors at GW, and that allows me to kind of find that direction and be able to chase it.
That's so cool. So, not unlike your peers, but somewhat unique, you came into your senior year and you already had a job, right? So what happens in May when you graduate?
Yeah, I'm lucky for that. I'm lucky for that.
You earned it.
Yeah, so this summer I was in New York City working for Goldman Sachs. It was a long summer, very tough. It was early mornings, getting up before early mornings to work just to get in the gym for a couple hours. But yeah, after I graduate in May, I'll have 8 weeks off, and then in late July, I'll start at Goldman Sachs working full time.
That's so great.
So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I'm excited to follow your career there. With those 8 weeks off, you got any plans?
So I'm gonna be in a unique division. It's the emerging markets division. So we work with Latin American countries, African countries, Southeast Asia, and I think it'll be great because I might have the opportunity to travel a little bit.
Awesome.
We'll see. If I can learn anything about those areas that I'm gonna be specifically working with, I think I'll have an edge. So yeah, I think that's kind of what happens, like I said, when you have someone who's a GW student athlete and you have varying interests, from people who can go and, whether it's work in politics or for Goldman Sachs in my case, and at the same time be an elite athlete. The opportunities are really endless in a place like this.
Speaking of a place like this, so I took you on a run today that was very familiar to me, the 20-minute special, and I brought you here because this is my favorite spot in all of DC. I'd love to hear from you. What's your favorite place in Washington, DC?
Man, I have to say, my favorite place in Washington, D.C. is right around the tidal basin.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first run at GW. I remember the team took us out. We probably running like 8-minute pace, and now we run like 6:30. But I was like, Jesus. But no, I mean, I love that. I love how the cherry blossoms grow around there. I love how Jefferson and Martin Luther King kind of sit on opposite sides. And that's also where I got proposed to by a fellow GW student athlete. So you can't hate that.
So he proposed to you at the Jefferson?
Right by on the side of the tidal basin at the Jefferson.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Suze, I've really enjoyed our conversation today. Thanks for making time on this balmy December morning. But truly, you inspire me, and I've just had such a great time getting to know you over the last 4 years, and I'm really excited for your spring, indoor and outdoor, and then obviously graduation and following your career. So thanks so much. This has been another episode of TV Time with my favorite SAC president, Suzanne Dannehim. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tanya.